Welcome to Chalk Talk, presented by U.S. Sailing, who sponsored the ICSA semifinals last weekend and supports college sailing year-round. I'm Chris Love.
And I'm Eric Stark.
And Eric, this week I'm the one on the road here in San Francisco. I'm actually over across the bay from the city in Tiburon at San Francisco Yacht Club getting ready for the U.S. ODA Opti team trials. But you're home, right?
I am. Finally made it home. I'll be excited to watch coverage from the team trials there. That's a lot of fun. I would have liked to have that in my day.
One thing I think we both would have liked to see was the semifinals out in Long Beach last weekend. Great regatta as it usually is, with 36 of the nation's best sailing teams competing for 18 spots at nationals. Of course, it's broken up into an Eastern and a Western this year, both happening at the same venue. But let's take a look. We always start with Eastern. Let's take a look at the Western semifinals here. Not too many surprises here. At the top, we had Boston College winning, although by a narrow margin. They came from behind to get that done at the end. A little bit further down in our rankings, we both missed Wisconsin. They fall just short, with URI putting on an amazing final set in A Division and B Division. Come into the final set in 12th points, 30 points out of qualifying. They post a 1-3 in A, a 3-3 in B, and cruise in with a 9-point margin victory over Wisconsin. UCSB, Eric, unfortunately did not qualify, and so I pick up a point on the Western semifinals predictions.
You did, Chris, there. UCSB, a little bit of a surprise. Surprise the other way, USF, making it all the way up to 4th place. So that was impressive by them. In the East, even less of a surprise, if you were to take my picks at least, Chris. Georgetown getting the win over Harvard. Harvard sailed real impressively. And then we had Brown, Charleston, Stanford, Navy, Tufts, Con, and ODU getting that last spot. So I missed ODU, but they've been sailing decently lately, and I'm sure they're happy to get that last spot.
And our mistake for not including Hobart William Smith. We just totally forgot that they qualified for semifinals at all. We'll be looking for them in Oregon. Well, Eric, I don't know what the weather is where you are, but here it is getting steamy out. No wind, but a whole lot of sunshine, so I'm going to put on my hat for this next one. The second part of our segment is a story, an update on a story we reported 2 weeks ago, and that's the berth situation in some of the districts. CISA, as you recall, had to give up one of their berths to nationals because they didn't bring enough teams to their district qualifier. Their extra berth went to the Midwest, who held their championship the weekend before semifinals. At that regatta, only 5 teams showed up, and the final team didn't sail B Division because of how windy it was. Now, we maybe incorrectly reported that because of that, they didn't go. It actually turns out that Notre Dame, who placed 5th at the championship, still was qualified legally to take that spot. They declined, as well as the 4th place team, Northwestern. So both of those berths were then reallocated. The Pacific Coast picked up one, and so UC Irvine will be going to nationals, and Mesa picked up the other, which means Fordham gets to go. So what does all this say? Well, it definitely means that it's not a perfect system, but you know, it never was. This is a new system introduced 2 years ago to address this very issue. There were some in ICSA that felt that more of the better teams, regardless of where they come from, should be able to qualify for nationals. And so here we are. So you've kind of got 2 camps. We've got the birthers and the truthers. Eric, which one are you?
Well, Chris, you know, I'm not sure which one I am, I guess, but I do know a couple things. I know that nationals needs to be nationals. So at this past semifinals, you had all the districts represented. That's kind of become the first step of the nationals, or the first part of nationals. Same way that NCAA's has 64 teams to start with. You know, not everyone goes to the Final Four, but everyone gets there. So I wholeheartedly agree with the ICSA that we need to keep everybody involved. At the same time, I think it gets tough. Yes, so MCSA, 5 teams showed up, 5 teams could have gone to nationals. That doesn't seem ideal to me. NISA and Mesa sent 12 and 14 teams to their qualifiers. It's significantly more, and they qualified 6 and 7, so that's 50%. Should it be a percentage of each championship that gets to go? But then you run into the fact that, can you go to a qualifier not knowing what you have to finish to qualify for nationals?
Well, Eric, I mean, that is what happened this year. You've got teams like Irvine and Fordham who walked away from their championship disappointed that they didn't qualify, only to find out week or 2 weeks later that, in fact, that place was good enough.
We got to have concrete numbers for each qualifier when they're being raced, so you know how you have to sail. At the same time, it seems like we could probably update the current 2-year cycle in ICSA for berth allocation. Should probably be a 1-year cycle, and even then revisited, in the springtime.
Well, no question that this year, either way, we are still going to have 27 great teams out sailing at the Gorge and an amazing final, probably with 18 teams. So looking forward to that, but something to think about. Feel free to comment here on Sailgroove, and maybe it'll come up again at the ICSA winter meeting. Before we go, we've got the last weekend of qualifiers coming up before Nationals. Just a few districts finishing up some unfinished business.
Chris, we've got the Midwest hosting their team race championships at Wisconsin for 2 berths, looking to head to the Gorge. We've got Northwest hosting their team championships for 1 berth. They'll be sailing on the Gorge. And NISA will be having their team race championships on Lake Mascoma at my alma mater, Dartmouth. 3 berths there up for grabs. So who do you got, Chris?
Well, to finish up here, I think in the Midwest for those 2 berths, I'm looking at Wisco and Michigan, probably in that order. Minnesota has a shot at it, but I think I'm going to take those 2. The Northwest, actually, I think is maybe the toughest to call, not only because they have fewer team races throughout the season, but because I think you've got 3 pretty close teams here. Western Washington, probably the deepest, I think has the best shot at taking it. Then you've got UW and Oregon. UW actually won one of their regular season team races, and then you've got Oregon who won their co-ed champs, so clearly a fast team. I think that one might be the closest of them all. And then in NISA, the big guns, BC and Harvard. We've seen them go back and forth this season, winning some of the regattas and really looking good. I think those will be your top 2, with Roger Williams also knocking at the door. All 3 of those have a chance to win this. Brown, Yale, and Tufts going to be maybe have a shot at being top 3, but probably going to be just outside, as we've seen all season long.
Yeah, those are all good picks, Chris. Hard to argue with. I think Wisco will get it done at home, get the win there. I think beyond that, the race is more going to be for second, Michigan and Minnesota, like you said. I'm going to have to go with you there and take Michigan. Northwest, Western Washington, I think they've won most of the events in the Northwest all year. Maybe lost 1 to UW, so it could happen again, but going to take Western Washington there as well. I think on Mascoma, I think Harvard could very well get the win there. Sailing on FJ's Mascoma, it's a lot like Charles River, and I think Harvard will get the win, but once again, they just need to be top 3. BC and Roger Williams get those other 2 spots. I would not be at all surprised if Brown sneaks in there for that 3rd spot. The rest of the teams, I think, are a little bit further off.
All right, well, it looks like the scores will not be changing next week, but that leaves us wide open for Nationals as we're 1 point apart. Looking forward to this weekend, looking forward to team trials as well. Check it all out. And finally, if you're a team racing fan, the Wilson Trophy. Going to be posting videos coming up this weekend, so tune in to all that, and we will see you next week on Chop Top.